I did something wrong. Uh, bu- bu- There. That should give crisper video. Alright. So, spoilers. Last time we opened the door to the Great Temple. And we walked all the way through, and then we fucked up and died. So, now, we are not gonna fuck up and die. Space. Final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Aww.
And here you are.
Yes, I
Allow
am.
me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You are unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will.
Ah! Gobbo! So, when we were last here,
My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know?
you're a god.
It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful.
This?
Just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey.
So, part of my issue here is that it is trafficking in the worst parts of the Ancient Aliens idea.
This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps
And at
you
this
might
point,
know her
it
as the
doesn't
goddess
seem.
of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal. Your gaze lingers too long. That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to... Her role is to... For that, she earned herself the infamous... You will talk more later. For now, as you... That is merely the name your people... I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do. It is the simplest of concepts.
Yeah.
And each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any city. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold.
The principle is not as easy to apply as it sounds. It doesn't seem like you've been upholding it either.
Enough. You clearly know nothing.
I've seen some terrible things here that you didn't consider a sin. How could you let
Do you
them
plan
happen?
to speak in sweeping generalization?
Abduction.
Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern?
Yes.
He did so because she sought to escape, a sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her. Wouldn't you agree?
I disagree with that.
Supposing you're right, then your desire to be right, you will make a Do you really?
You may be immortal. Let's find out, shall we?
Pathetic. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Fuck! I screwed up. I screwed up. Alright, we're gonna zoom straight to challenging his ethics. We're not gonna ask for his story, because personally we already know, but technically we don't.
Allow me. That is. This be the Roman. It is yet. Enough. Do you plan? The midwife and the palace, yes. The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless, they are forsaken.
That seems like an extremely literal
Blindness
interpretation.
rule always requires us.
If our language is full of ambiguity, doesn't that make the rule inherently subjective and unreliable?
Supposing you're right, then you will. How? The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Fuck! Juke, 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 juke. Juke. Loading screen, loading screen, loading screen. Da 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 da. Through the portal, through the portal. Why do I want this?
Salve, friend. Oh. You li- I'll
Okay, where's the temple? Because I would like to talk.
You, Sisyphus, attack or pursue the stone.
Right. Not that temple, that temple.
How did you know I was headed in there?
no time to explain. Go.
All right, I'll be in my bakery. Thank you, Galerius.
Ah, a visitor. Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name? I was indeed, but we've never met before, have we? Oh, that's a relief. For a moment, I thought it was I.
How would you persuade the god of the underworld to
I
involve?
assume you're asking me this as some kind of amusing hypothetical?
No.
Extraordinary. Then let me see if I can help you. I suppose first I'd want to gather information. I'd want to know about his reasons for imposing the Golden Rule and what he considers a sin. If I could expose some internal inconsistency in his reasoning, some degree of hypocrisy, I might be able to compel him to change his position.
Yeah, that's a
But
good argument.
as a philosopher, the saddest truth I ever learned is that all but the most enlightened opponents are more easily swayed by appeals to emotion than by reason. So the easiest path would be to find his emotional susceptibility and exploit it. If he was vain, I might try to flatter him. If he was merciful, I would try to evoke pity. As a last resort, I might figure out what he fears losing above all else, and, if I could, threaten to take it away. Though, of course, that could easily go awry. Now, go quickly while my words are still fresh in your memory.
So. Figure. So what I was already trying to do. Point out a logical inconsistency. And if you can use that to break his religiousness on the correctness of his actions. Right, because we're right next door to that.
Salve.
Like, those eggs probably weigh like half a ton. Like, an utterly absurd amount of weight. May the gods be kinder to you than they were to us, stranger.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold praying.
Don't believe a word they tell you.
How have I never taken this one?
Nominated by nightfall, Sentius will be re-elected magistrate by default.
Actually, I'd like to nominate myself, if that's all right.
Of course, Galerius. That's your right. Citizens, the election will proceed.
Salve again, friend. You're a sister. Anyway, so, and
Where'd she go?
A new face. You did? Wait, what? Sumerian?
Yeah.
As in east of the Euphrates? Well, our ancestors, but the Greeks, if that's true. Then I've spent my whole life. It's no wonder I never felt like my prayers to Vesta were answered. I see. Ave again. Oh my. Let's read Hercules, and so it's a reasonable. And even if you could. As As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own. First, Proserpina. It's said. If the stories are true, the problem is, how do we communicate? Leaving that aside for a moment. Truly? Then can you tell me, has she told you anything that... Truly? Ah, I see. But unfortunately... May Fortuna...
Alright, let's find some whispering statues and see if they'll help. Because otherwise I'm just going to deliver the crown to Hades, Pluto, asshole in charge. No gods, no kings, we won't be fooled again. Right. Hades. Osiris. And lastly, Papa Nurgle. Oh my god, she doesn't have her crown.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Cimmerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal. And what is more, that there will be time first, as a... That is merely the name your people have given.
Where did the golden bows come from? Let's talk about some.
Very well. My story... My kin and I... It is a matter of your No. This, like me.
Oh no, she does have her.
Or perhaps you, your gaze link. That is my servant. You would Kumuta hero for that. She earned herself that you will talk as you.
Alright. What is this
it
place?
Has come to be known simply. That is a long story. One that began... You see, long ago, my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among... We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something you all but destroyed yourselves.
Here's where we get into the issues with the ancient aliens notion. Because...
Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you.
it
Persuaded the
fundamentally
rest of us it would be
says
squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed
humankind,
ourselves to your people in a place called
specifically
Sula.
older
We offered
generations,
guidance in agriculture,
and
toolcraft, and law. And you
cultures
called
from
us
the Middle
gods.
East
For a
and
time, we
Africa
flourished,
would
but
not
soon you were too
exist
many for
as
us to
cultures
oversee. And as you
outside
spread
of
from that
the
cradle of
benevolent
civilization,
actions
saw
of
something
higher
disturbing.
beings,
we had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion.
which
And soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance.
hurts.
This
It's
time in
bad.
our name. My kin had seen enough and gave up on your kind, condemning
Like,
you as
it's
barbaric
not
and
a good
chaotic,
way to solve
scarcely
this
more
problem.
benevolent. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the... And so she began her inescapable trajectory. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father. Humans were unworthy of us. But seeing that I was agreed, if even one human city could, then Proserpina and all of humanity, my part would be to remain behind. And so my reward, so that I... And here Of course. I would recognize that anywhere. And yet, my beloveds... You vile, despicable creature.
Didn't.
You have put me in an impossible position. If I refuse, you will murder her. And yet, if I agree, I will lose my way. Perhaps you are cleverer than you are. I do not see that I have a choice in this. Your treachery and savagery have opened my eye, and now you have shown me your species' true colors. This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form of... But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Because despicable creatures like you have no... The best I can do, I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you...
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in... Now,
I'm ready.
you had best pray our paths never...
Oh. Hi there. Give me... Well? Know who you are. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here? I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people... Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in... They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the thousand... Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage, freeing a falsely accused prisoner, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here,
Yeah.
and demanded an audience, and the doors just opened up to her. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years? What? Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
I'm right behind you.
I'm gonna pause here for a moment.
Good idea.
You go on ahead.
So now we talk to Karen.
You're back. But
I found him. He'll be here in a moment.
what a relief. Thank you. Why don't you tell me what you discovered?
I discovered you're not who you said you were. I remember meeting you 2,000 years ago.
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions.
Or are you really?
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time.
What truth is that?
That you died, of course. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen. Most souls ask your... As you wish. You, unfortunately, a nearby hiker saw the scuffle break out. You both fought bravely. There was nothing you... He died instantly at the scene. And that man's name... You were each in possession of a sacred coin, called Charon's Opal by... Perhaps you... Well, those stories contain... A long time ago, my master created 1,000... My orders were simple. Whenever a That is a question you would have to ask. I am just his servant. Only now, I find there is nobody else to ferry here. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so...
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't... And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient...
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But... You two look exhausted.
Sounds good to me.
And you?
Yeah. Oh!
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway.
Why would I write that?
I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet. And I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Okay.
You're finally here. Remember me? It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours.
What?
Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance at life. I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around, we'd love to see you there. Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
It's good to see you again, Galarius.
There's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you, so you better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
Oh, hello.
You're here. It's... So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess, you realize you've put me out of work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
Galarius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family. It feels like the world has just opened up for us.
Is this the good ending? No.
And so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did. Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, see you at the wedding. Hi there.
Hello. You're the Oracle, right? Oh, of course, sorry. And I never got to... And of course, getting me. Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire. Did you know there are entire continents, and you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which... Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so... I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that. One day.
Whatever happened to Malleolus and Claudia?
Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink it. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude?
I think you're allowed to feel that way.
Ugh, someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high, even in your time, life. Apparently he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some Nigeria?
God damn it.
Some people have all the luck. Well, you are the Oracle. I feel better. You too.
We can go to bars and drink and listen to the stories of 9 million people who live there.
I hope so.
You are here. It's nice.
Hi, Lucretia.
Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We are all trying to keep up. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago...
Oh, this ending is so good!
Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person.
But I worry that Sentius is at the end.
But I hear you drove the last of them off. So...
What are you doing with yourself?
I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the responsibility of keeping everyone in the city alive, when it ended, I realized I missed it.
So I guess I'll
just keep saving the world, if begrudgingly.
It's good to see you. No.
Hey.
Evening. Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Hi, Horatius.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life. And reuniting Scintilla with...
What are you doing with yourself
I'm
these
living up
days?
north and studying in the military academy in Modena. I'm going to be an officer one day. The world's changed a lot. But some things stay the same. Would you believe we're still studying military tactics from my time? Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal Barca. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace the new. As Seneca wrote, the ones who pioneered our paths aren't our masters, but our guides.
Sure you never got to see your girl again.
Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now.
This ending. Well said.
Thanks. Oh, and I don't know if you've heard, but a few of us are going for drinks later.
Is he hitting
nice
on
to,
me?
Chat with you some more.
Sounds good. I'll be there.
He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting than most. He got himself disqualified from the UFC. So he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament, like we had in Rome. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out. And his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You're not wrong. See you at drinks late.
I take it you're the Oracle? Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius after what happened. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great Temple. She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing is, we'll never see him again. Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere. He's still there, all alone.
What?
The last golden statue in the underworld.
Is this the
Trapped
good
in
ending?
a metal shell, slowly losing his mind until the end of time. Eternal torment. Just what he deserves, if you ask me.
Why?
Then I suppose he got his wish. You too. See you around.
Georgios.
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius.
Good to see you, Georgius.
I am told we have you to thank for freeing us from Hades, and for that, I am most grateful.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years, I barely recognize it. This is at once heartbreaking and thrilling. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced off against the fearsome god of the underworld and won. You too, my friend.
Hello. You're the one we've been waiting for.
Hi, Fabia.
I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you... I'm just so happy to be here with you.
Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows and yoga pants. What a time to be alive.
Oh, I'm so glad you're happy.
Thank you. I really am.
It's good to see you.
You too.
Can I know your name?
And here you are. It's wonderful to see you again. Oh, and by the way, I go by Philip now. A fine Greek name. I never thought I'd leave that cave, let alone the city. And now I'm living in the 21st century. What a time to be alive. And it seems I have your catabasis to thank for it. I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University, helping fill the odd gap in their knowledge. Not that I need the money, but I do love being around enlightened minds again. Aha! You remember that? I have to admit, I've been profoundly impressed by the advances humans have made these past 2 millennia. The sum total of human knowledge available at our fingertips, miraculous modern medicines, and a series of prosperous democracies. Your contemporaries have come further toward utopia than I ever thought possible, though there's still a way to go.
This is such... yeah.
My sincere thanks once again.
Soiree, innit?
Oh my god. What an asshole.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the oracle I've heard so much about. I'm Dacius. Listen, I want to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man.
I hate this man so much.
Such acerbic wit. I love it. I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the oracle and future seer and all that, on which stocks I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
Can I tell him to invest in crypto?
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm going to make a bloody fortune.
I'll be going.
Don't let me keep you.
Good evening.
Which one's
Oh,
Octavia?
hello. It's lovely to meet you.
Ah.
I've heard so much about you.
Nice to see you, Octavia.
I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things to do than visit the likes of us. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him.
Sounds like a noble cause. Good on you.
That means a lot. And you.
Greetings.
Good to see you looking well,
Thank
Olivia.
you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
What are you doing with yourself?
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while, at least until I'm well enough to be independent again. Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but that's all right. I have 2,000 years worth of poetry to catch up on now. I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit.
This
Men
game
have
is
called
very
me
smart.
Mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence.
Well said.
And you?
Kabash.
It is an honor to finally meet you, Oracle.
Thanks, Kabash.
You know my name? Oh, of course. You are an Oracle. You know many things. I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place, and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous.
What are you doing with yourself?
For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but they have no need of another fisherman, and I came to see there is nothing for me there. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world.
Oh!
It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun.
Sounds like you've earned it.
Indeed.
It's good to see you, Kabash.
Hello there.
Hi, Scintilla.
Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name.
Hi.
After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him.
What are you doing with yourself these days?
I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed it would be. I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with us. If you're ever passing through the region, I hope you'll come and visit us. You can try some of our very own wine.
I might just do that.
Thanks. You too.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius. I understand I have you to thank for sending. The way you just showed up out of the blue and stopped me from making a terrible mistake. I'll be forever in your debt.
What are you doing with yourself?
I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while before we know what we're doing, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, so we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way, sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And I couldn't be happier.
I'm so glad
Thank
you're
you.
happy.
You too.
Rufius.
Nice to meet you. I go by Rufus now. New start, new name. Oh, and thanks, by the way, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good with the mushy stuff. I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the
Yeah.
war, and it rebuilt itself. Good place for a fresh start. Haven't decided what I'm going to do with my life yet. One adjustment at a time. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. You too.
Where is Jill?
It's so nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Good to see you,
I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there. And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, But once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow.
What are you doing it yourself?
I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam, just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets, full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are. You too. If you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd love to show you around.
I may just take you up on that, Virgil. I forgot to ask Dooley.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Dooley.
Hello, I'm Dooley. Galerius said you're very nice. Treasure? Oh, I forgot about that. I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now and help me remember when I forget things. Bye-bye.
Evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hi.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues, and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected.
Do what you could. Thank you.
I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him the prayer, I could not unteach him, and there was little I could do but wait for someone like you to come along and see him for what he was. We are all fortunate you came along when you did. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day.
It's very nice.
And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city?
Yes. Of course.
Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to
Where's
achieving
Nadia?
Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
Like, that's just such a sweet ending. So, here's what I want to talk about with regards to this game. How do you go about creating a narrative through gameplay? And this game does a really nice job. The time loop is baked into the narrative as a form of iterative design, or iterative action, and iterative knowledge. You learn what you can or cannot do based on each cycle, and the fact that you are told, here's how you're told to not sin, to act only morally, pressures you towards being a moral agent. I think the fact that you can break that at any time works really well for the game. I think it's like really good that you are able to bend and even break the rules to get to the actual narrative ending. It's really good. Now I want to... Where I think this game stumbles mostly is that the golden rule is addressed as a fundamentally flawed concept and not directly engaged with as a ideological pressure. Like, the golden rule, the idea that to commit a sin damns everyone, is an interesting concept for an ideological focus. What it needed was some way to actually address those corner cases. And I don't think it works all the time. I think specifically the tavern owner who is selling people poison is a great example of someone who is not punished. And how the worst one, Sentius, gets punished off screen. Like, what he does inevitably breaks the golden rule. It is, there's no two ways about it. There is no way to say that this game does not deal directly with a broken system. And I agree that it is a broken system, but I think there were ways they could have engaged with the philosophical practice and framework of the golden rule that doesn't treat it as fundamentally broken. And that what I think would be great is if there was a way to end the story by actually convincing Hades or Pluto, whatever, let's go with Hades, to convince Hades that the rule is wrong, ethically and morally, and does not work. And the fact that it doesn't seem like he can be convinced is a problem to me, in my opinion. And part of it is, I think you could have him reckon with his own choice, the failures of his own actions, and have that be engaging. Oh. Thank you for selecting what publication. Oh, he can! That's really helpful. Einjurgen. I didn't find that. The only way out I found for that was... Like, I don't like looking stuff up online. Now I'm just going to start up again. We'd love to make even better games in the future. Help out by rec... I want to see what happens if you actually convince Hades. Because that's... Thank you very much. I don't want to look it up online. Like... Where does it leave me? Thank you, game. Doors Nurgle. Alright. We go to our friend here.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades
give me a couple I kind of want to see if I can reason it out. Because what?
God of the underworld. And what is more,
this is very helpful,
there
though.
will be time for your reckoning later. First.
Right. We know that starts the thing.
That is merely the name you're... That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians...
Do I need to go through all of his, like, backstory details before I can get the...
prestigious position of power and influence.
Okay.
Of all the women, two were particularly ambitious.
The fact that this conversation doesn't save your knowledge...
Wearing eye-catching dresses and
painted
faces. Their hair woven in elaborate fashion, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces.
Like, this is such a good narrative.
And rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second...
But I do need to go through all of the backstory dialogue, because I did that on some previous runs and then died horribly by getting sniped by arrows. Which means it didn't save, which still annoys me.
She checked that nobody was watching.
Because this is a great sub-narrative.
Her rival from the top of the ziggurat, where she broke it. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the gold, and I left her to step. But that was not enough, so I had no choice. And to suspect, I give your kind a second chance. And when you did, and so you did. When my kin, the golden bow, as my collection of golden steps and tossed them, I'm able to commune with all of the... If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not.
No reason.
Then what an... My
Don't
story...
toss the crown.
It is a matter of your... My kid... No. This, like me, or your gaze lingers too long. That, you, Kumu, you will talk more. And it has come to be known. That is a lot. You see, we discovered you all yet preserved. So we, for a time, we had sown Mike, but my sheep, and so hot, and then it, but he, but it, then put my, and so, and
jump, jump, jump.
There were also our leader, Jupiter, and of course, as the first, I had them, after it, to ensure some,
I love a good randomness trial. But yeah, thank you very much for telling me. I assumed there was something about the third ending, because I didn't get that. I got 1, 2, and 4, which 4 is such a good ending.
But the erasure did not. His tales were later the Egyptian, their book of, then the warrior, and
let's talk. So, I've now asked all the questions possible in double check.
As it is
those two.
That is.
This starts phase 2.
Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give?
Alright. Like, Sentius is a most... Like, logically, abduction makes sense. But... And I know this... But I tried this.
Abduction? You mean the magistrate? He did so because she saw better that he stops her from escaping, albeit...
If I say I disagree, I'm given one option to... Yes. Yeah, that's why I thought you can't convince him.
Now tell me, what others...
Do you have to go through all of these? And then try and convince him from there? I actually want to hear his response to these.
How is that inconsistent with the rule?
He wouldn't want to be trapped in the 30-year labor contract.
And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others.
Really? You have to stop asking? That's interesting. I never tried that.
Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority, this is interesting. I'm curious, how do people escape poverty where you're from? I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt?
Depends, typically decades, sometimes their entire life.
I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30
I
years.
would not have thought you have to abandon...
Now tell me, what... Good. Only, it has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared.
Oh!
How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
Yeah, that makes some sense, but
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
He cannot know.
Great. I'm gonna look this up on my phone, because honestly, I did not think you could go through this. A, because I didn't even think at all that you could. I thought ending the conversation would be like, alright, time to die now. But yeah,
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpine has slumbered for 3,000 years.
Shouldn't you know this as the god of the underworld? Guess I'm...
Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
I'd like to put an end to the Golden Rule.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case.
Oh!
If you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule?
If you're going to do this for love, you should know that Proserpina doesn't love you. How can you expect us to live without sin if you can't do it yourself? Ooh. This is interesting. That's what I was about to say. Like, I think this is the correct decision.
How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up.
So Rufius is a good example, I think.
He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. True. I have witnessed him doing that. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. Pathetic. You will need to... That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it? Every one of those people was guilty of failing to ensure their peers lived virtuously. They failed collectively, and so they were punished collectively. The Romans understand this, as did the Greeks before them. Ah, but I am a god, and you are a mortal. Why would you expect me to treat you as I treat my own kind? You are not a peer. You are not a respected equal. Let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights?
No, I don't.
Of course not. Because that would be absurd. Just as it would be absurd for me to treat your kind as equals.
What makes your kind superior to mine? Your kind and mine can't be so different, given that you're in love with one of us.
My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is mortal.
What makes your kind... That sounds arrogant. Perhaps you're not as different from humans as you think.
Bah! For a moment I thought you might have been building to a point. But I see now...
No, it's a reasonable argument there.
He cannot know.
I see what you are doing. You are trying to undermine the one... You have...
I don't want to...
House. That is...
You've trapped people.
These people were all dead when my servant found them. I gave them a second chance at life. Would you prefer to have simply ceased to exist?
Maybe.
Then you still have the option to end your life should you wish, and you are no worse off than if I had not intervened. Accordingly, I reject your argument.
Okay.
Every one of those people, they failed. How unfortunate that... but let me ask, do you Of course. Where to begin? In which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine.
Why does wisdom and technology make you superior?
Because that is the source of our power over you.
So you think you're not obliged to treat us fairly because you're more powerful than us?
You could say that.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it the Roman Stoics said? Treat your inferior as you wish your superior to treat.
My kin have no superiors.
But didn't you say Jupiter was your leader? There's a hierarchy within your kin.
That is true.
Yeah?
Go on.
So you're treating humans the way you would wish Jupiter to treat you?
Make your point, mortal.
I'm saying, if you can't follow your own rules, how can you expect humans to? I'm not saying the amoral hypocrite, because that's how you get him to...
Let me ponder that for a moment. If you are right, then it would follow that all this time I have been in the wrong. But no, the very thought of it grieves me. How can I accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster? Wait, what? What are you saying?
Oh, that's actually... Humans make mistakes. It's in our nature.
You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true,
yes,
it follows that my work is fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that?
Ooh. I don't like 4. Perhaps he felt threatened by you and didn't want a potential challenge. I don't think I have evidence for that. Like, the simplest one is, say, he is as fallible as you, and you are as fallible as us.
A mistake? But he is the best and greatest of us.
Perhaps when you took on human form, you took on some human foibles as well.
Your words sting me, mortal.
Oh, this is so good.
What I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned,
thank you very much, Ein Jurgen. This has been really helpful.
Your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such
I love this.
This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium,
okay.
Neither she nor your kind.
So this is not... Just want to return to the world.
Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest.
Why?
Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken.
I love
interfering in the natural flow.
The fact that I tried violence and got the same functional ending. Because my feeling is... My suspicion is this is going to go to the same ending I just finished. But it's so good. That ending's so... That conversation is well worth replaying. Because it's really neat. Okay.
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al. Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here? I'm fairly certain you and I are fortunate. Apparently, they believe that if then, one day, just as Galerius had finished, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage,
but yeah,
freeing a falsely
this is
accused
really
prisoner,
smart.
foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here.
I really liked this ending.
And the doors just opened up to her. Nobody knows what went on in there.
I really like the 1 year later.
The oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough.
Do you know if it's possible to save Navia?
Leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him? And the other people
because
who lived
when
here?
I did this last, I didn't see her in the museum sequence.
Oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years.
Drat. And are you actually do you know if you're actually locked out of going to her space more than once? Because I wasn't able to find it after Rufus. Oh, not Rufus. Dacius locked me out the first time you get the bow. Which... Drat. Because I would have loved to explore that more. Yeah, I tried that a bunch of times. And I'm like, hey, can you just give me a key? I want to try this again. Because I want to know if I missed anything in my panicked running away from all the bows. Because one thing I had issues with this game is that my panic response is like, okay, everything's going bad. I need to get to the portal right now. And in talking with Navia, she just causes the sin seemingly. Or maybe I was too slow walking through her place. Alright. Yeah, I would have also just liked to explore. It's really neat. I liked this narrative a lot. Now I need to... I'll probably need to There's some really interesting things in this game. And now that I know that you can argue Hades down... Yeah, I've done like 4 streams of this, and I'm so glad you stepped in, because honestly, I was like, I wish I knew that you could save, or that you could argue Hades down, because I thought the thing that looks like end the conversation would just end the conversation. And sucks on egg on my face that I didn't read properly and realize that, oh, you can talk him down. Because I felt really bad about ending this game with an act of violence, or a threat of violence. Because that's what I did the first time. I felt I promised violence on Proserpina, and as a result, I did go to the philosopher. Yeah, but I thought that was only, again, I didn't think ending what I thought was an end the conversation button gave more stuff. Partially because I'm not sure I remember another conversation where in the game where that last option didn't just end the conversation, but I might be forgetting. I played this game like in 2-hour spurts. Yeah, but again, I felt really bad about the Throw the Crown ending. I thought that was going to be the bad ending. And that it's just a different way of approaching this last ending is really good. Because it results in the same thing. I do think that Sentius being punished off screen is a bit disappointing to me personally. But I think this game works really well. Now, do I want to do the museum ending all over again?
What?
Because I kind of want to now actually read the
I thought you were serious. Anyway,
credits.
I think I found a way out through the aqueduct.
Yeah, I don't really want to. Okay, my escape button is... There we go. Can I see just credits? Credits! Love this feature. But yeah, I think this game works really well for what it's trying to do in a lot of aspects and tells a really good story. Overall, I think this is great. I feel a lot better now that I know. Thank you so much for the information. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I'll probably be trying to do some writing on this. I need to figure out what I have to say on this game. Being that my main critique is kind of dealt with. I think there's an argument to be made that the game ending with the everyone ends up in the future, in our present, is a really good way to wrap up the game. But I wonder if there is a way to look at it as a... There's got to be some theory. I'll have to do some looking into stuff. Where the previous game I played, the Talos Principle, had very clear, like, themes and execution on those themes, exclusively through dialogue. It is the gameplay here that's really nice, and really builds towards its thematic and ethical points. But yeah, thank you for all your help. I'm worried I'm mispronouncing your name. Is it Ein Jurgen? Because you have been great help, and I don't want to mispronounce. So yes, I am mispronouncing it. Sorry. My other language skills are bad, so... Yeah, and I don't know how you can type the phonetic alphabet into Twitch. But yeah, thank you so much. I'm probably gonna end the stream now, because this was great. Thank you so much. Have a good Have a good day. Hope the rest of your day goes pretty well. Bye. Yeah, you as well. Bye.